proceed with the countdown.
10,
9,
8,
7,
6,
5,
4,
3, 2.
Time's up.
Too tight, Marshal?
Nope.
Any last words?
Nope.
What do you want on your tombstone?
Pepperoni and cheese.
Time for Tombstone Pizza, made with the good stuff. Real pepperoni, real cheese, so it's always real good. What do you want on your tombstone?
Just a little taste?
Nope.
It's that look. It's that look right there. That look like test me, mother. Yeah.
And then there's a little old lady.
Knives for sale.
Oops. I didn't know it had the tombstone thing on the end of it. Good evening or afternoon or whatever the heck time it is. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, whatever it is. We're here on Pops Talk. Ironcaster and the mischievous one, Loki, have taken over Pops Talk today. Pops
Decided to crash and burn, apparently.
Apparently. Pops was like, crash and burn, gentlemen, and was out. So he will not be here for this week as we talk Robot Jox here on Pops Talk. But of course, with me today is the one and only, the man of the hour, the myth, the legend, the wonder himself, Ironcaster, the lover of shark movies. What's going on, man? How are you doing?
You will not believe it, but I apparently found a new shark movie I need to go check out.
Oh no, I shouldn't have said anything. What is it? What do I dare ask what it is?
This is apparently a Japanese horror movie called Bathhouse Shark Attack.
Bathhouse Shark Attack. Oh no. Oh no. I can't. No. Let's say hi to everybody here in chat. Chris Purge, the Wrench of Wrenches, is here. Good afternoon, Chris. Zax, what is up, Zax? He says, Hail Pops, Skull Loki. What's up, Ironcaster? What is going on, Zax? Good to see you here in chat. Pat S says, Hail Pops panel and members. Good news. Mom got home a half hour ago from her inpatient surgery. Oh, dude, I had no idea. Congrats. Her cancer was not and has not, I repeat, not spread and is now all gone. That is so wonderful. That is such good news, man. Congratulations. Matt, what is up, Matt? I first found this movie years ago because I became a fan of Gary Graham on Alien Nation. What is up, dude? Alien Nation. He was in Star Trek Enterprise. He was in this. I found this movie just by accident when I was a kid. I had a buddy that was like, we've got to watch this, dude. It's robots. And I was like, cool. And I used to have it on VHS. I lost it and thought, I'm never going to see this movie again. And they released it on DVD and on Blu-ray. In fact, I don't know what kind of, hold on. Why are you being difficult? Give me just a second. We will, boom. Boom, Blu-ray. Blu-ray Robot Jox. 2 men, 2 machines, 2 wild. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm gonna stop my camera from playing because God help me, it's scary. Scared of the camera. Camera shy. Camera shy. Where did you know about this movie before me and Pops were like, oh my God, Ironcaster, Robot Jox?
Oh yeah, no, I knew about this. I think about a good 10 years ago or so. Like it was kind of in that early stage of like YouTube where people starting to really get into doing like the obscure movie stuff, the Angry Video Game Nerd kind of knockoffs, Nostalgia Critic, those guys. And I think one of the guys on Channel Awesome wound up doing a review of this movie. And it was like the more I watched it with like the little bits of stop motion robot, I'm like, I have to see this.
Yeah.
And I haven't been fortunate enough to find a copy of The Wild, but I do have my copy.
And Chris version, no 4K. No 4K exists. The last I heard, there is a 35 millimeter version of the film. Whether or not we will ever get it in 4K, I do not know. So I don't know how good it'll look in 4K. I know it looks great on Blu-ray. I know it looks great in HD. You can tell, the stop motion stuff, but it still looks good, right? I mean, did you got a chance to watch it before we did this?
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, this is one I feel like I ought to go watch more, even though it's it's just kind of a fun, a fun little like kind of throwaway movie, kind of throw on you when you're kind of like, it's one of those sick movies.
Like, oh yeah, like when you're sick.
Exactly. You kind of go in and out of consciousness. You're like, what's Apollo doing now? Okay, yeah, he's fighting a woman.
There was this movie almost didn't get made. I don't know how much you know about the backstory about this, but originally they turned this down. They said, no, there's no way, we'll go bankrupt. And guess what happened? They went bankrupt making this movie.
Oh yeah, like there was a whole bunch of like behind the scenes stuff going on with this. Like they couldn't, like the writer and the director couldn't decide on what kind of movie they wanted to make.
Oh yeah. And the guy who originally came up with this, he had what he wanted, and some of the producers and the director felt like, oh, it should be more child friendly, where he's like, no, this is an adult movie that yes, kids can watch and enjoy, but it's mainly an adult movie, and he fought for that.
Yep. Yeah, no, but the director wanted just big dumb robot fight.
And this is steeped in Cold War drama, ladies and gentlemen. This movie is great. So it starts out, and this was the prototype shot they did to prove that they could do this. This was the concept promo where they said, yes, we can actually do this. The opening scenes, you've got, you got a little bit of dialogue talking about, that war as we know it is over. Now, the way countries settle things is with giant walking battle mechs, and their drivers called Robot JOX. And you're like, holy crap, what am I strapping myself in for? What is about to happen? Is this like BattleTech? Am I about to watch a BattleTech movie? Because it kind of feels like BattleTech. Kind of feels like Mech Warrior. Is that where they're going? And it's you've got two superpowers, which basically come down to the USA and Russia. And this is how they fight for territory. All war has been outlawed. No more war, no more nuclear weapons, no more anything like that. Like a jockey. Yeah, badass. Like a jockey. Like a jockey.
Like a jockey.
And they fight. They fight for territory. And they're fighting for a part, I think, Siberia at the beginning of the movie. And USA just got its ass kicked. So the good guys are down. There's this evil pilot, a jock called Alexander, who ends up killing the US pilot of his mech. He's down. The US pilot's down. He's like, I think my back's broken. And he ends up killing him. anyway. Even after he wins, he's been given victory. They tell him not to move his mech, and he kills him anyway, showing that he doesn't care. He'll break the rules. But that one little concept piece, that one little bit of film at the very beginning of the movie, is what made them go, okay, let's do this. That looks really cool. How could you say no?
I mean, just looking at this movie, even like the interior of the mechs, it is a sight to behold. There's just this warm, inviting colors, and kind of filling it, kind of making it feel almost like it alive on the inside, like it's almost a womb.
And this is Alexander. This is the bad guy of the movie. And these movies we were supposed to have 3 of these. And that didn't turn out. They just made one because they bankrupted the studio that did it. And it didn't make a lot of money back, unfortunately. It didn't make a lot of movie back. It got a limited run in theaters. I didn't even see this movie in theaters until Alamo Drafthouse. I found out Alamo Drafthouse was doing a limited release in Houston and in Dallas, I believe. And I got to see it. I was like, I've got to see this in theaters. I have to. I don't have a choice.
Oh, I'm jealous of you. This is one I absolutely want to see in theaters. Just, outside of the robots, it kind of has a little bit of a kind of problem, kind of having its own identity. It feels like, because it feels like it's kind of there, but it feels like we're sort of missing something in the soup.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to the problems they had with the production. So Stuart Gordon, the director, wanted something like Transformers meets Gladiator on the big screen. He wanted toys, he wanted giant robots, he wanted live action, no cartoons. This is going to be very difficult to produce. And they approached a producer, Charles Band, with the idea, and he said it's going to cost way too much. There's no way Empire Pictures could produce this movie. And they did a demo reel of stop motion test footage, which obviously is the first 5 minutes of the movie. And Band was so impressed that he said, you know what, we're going to do this. And it was the most expensive at $7 million. It was going to be the most expensive film they ever produced, and would be the last film they ever produced, because they did go bankrupt producing it.
And it's a shame, because this is something I would have loved to see more of. I want to see, more little fights of other nations going to battle for this or that island. Just that is such a great concept you can kind of work with. It's yeah, I'm sure the American and the Soviets kind of patch things out, but what's the 2 Irelands up to? What's Argentina and Chile up to?
Bobby
solve all the problems that way.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying, we can solve all the nation's problems that way just by having robot fights. Come on, we just have fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'd absolutely totally be down with that. Give us giant robots kicking the crap out of each other in arenas. We'll settle our differences that way. Bobby Walt said, so this movie's like Rock'em Sock'em Robots and Pacific Rim mechs. Pacific Rim actually took a lot of the ideas that this movie and its sequels had and ran with it, because there's a lot on the back end here. We're going to talk about Bobby. There's a lot going on the back end here that you never got to see, because this was just going to be a setup movie. Ironcaster, you said it feels like something's missing, right?
Right.
What if this was just the setup of a trilogy to get you into the idea of, okay, this is the future. This is how we solve problems. And then by the end of the movie, you think, okay, we've worked our shit out. And in the next movie, things get even worse. And there's a new enemy. and basically everybody's got to kind of come together to fight this new enemy. And it gets even worse in the third movie. So this was just an opening salvo originally.
I think if they were going to go that route with this, they probably would have had to work a little bit more with sort of the end of it, because it feels like this feels like with the ending of it, with the famous, thumbs up, it's really kind of wraps itself up. So it would have to kind of leave itself off on more of a place to where you could use it as a building point, and not sort of the end of war.
Well, the idea was that Achilles and God, what was the Russian's name?
Alexander,
thank you. Achilles and Alexander were going to be the poster boys for a new age of peace, right? It's like you can't delete these two guys. They're the ones who are saying, all right, enough is enough. We bled, we've sacrificed, all our brothers are gone. They're all dead. We're the last ones. All this stuff needs to stop, and we need to get along. They've worked out their problems. If we can work out our problems with each other, the world can work out its problems. When alien invasion happens and you get a whole nother problem. So you've got these aliens that are going to invade Earth with their own super toys. And there's a whole story about that. And the whole beginning of the movie is neither the Confederation or America can do anything about these guys because they're heroes. They're like superheroes.
I mean, you could also use that to sort of build off with this idea that as they sort of disarm themselves from war by basically starting to dismantle the robot jocks, they're not in a position where they would be able to do it on their own. So then forces them to have to come together. So there's a lot of possibility there to be able to do all that.
And Stuart Gordon, when Chris asked if that's true, when they came out with Pacific Rim, Stuart Gordon was asked if he was upset that they kind of hijacked his idea, because the last film in this like trilogy they were going to have, and they made 3 movies, they just didn't do what they originally set out to do. The last in the movie was going to be the humans and the aliens versus these giant Godzilla-like creatures. What does that sound like to you?
Huh.
Does that yeah.
Yeah, it's a little like Pacific Rim.
So you've got the aliens that come in and they want Earth's resources, and they're like, "Oh, you have these mechs. Okay, we'll fight you." And Alexander and Achilles have to go back into action and fight these aliens that are in their own suits, their own mechs. And then at the end of that, we find out, guess what? We've got giant monsters that are coming to Earth to take it, and we've got to fight them now with the aliens. So it's like, not only have we gone past just the USS, the United States and Russia, but we've gone past meeting aliens and fighting them, and now we're on to giant monsters like Godzilla that we've got to fight in our giant battle mechs. So,
I would watch like a whole trilogy of that. I would watch its own like ongoing series. Like, why can't we have that? No, we gotta have like 9 Transformers movies.
Yeah,
we gotta have like 4 unwanted Terminator movies.
So the whole idea behind this is that after a nuclear holocaust, mankind is decimated. America and Russia have agreed to outlaw all war, and they're fighting in these giant robots. Every pilot, which they call a jock, is contracted to fight 10 matches. Russia's champion is Alexander, who's killed his last 9 opponents. And they believe that something may be hanky-panky. There might be some hanky-pankiness going on behind the scenes. And Achilles, who's also won 9 fights, and in his final, this is their final match and the first time they've ever met each other, and they're going to fight for Alaska. America's got a badass mech designer called Matsumoto and a strategist, the great Tex Conway, who's the only jock in history to win all of his fights, all 10 of his contracted fights. He is the only one that wasn't killed, taken out, whatever, in a match. What
Yeah,
did
you
think?
it's a good solid kind of foundation. I mean, plus like what Texas going around with his big old 10-gallon hat on.
Oh yeah, going, clobbering time. I love that. I did that for Clobby a couple of times. It's clobbering time, boy. And he's like, "Where did you get that?" I was like, "Robot Jox, dude. The great Tex Conway."
How's
He
he
had no
not-
idea who I was talking about.
So that's I'm surprised he hasn't seen this.
Yeah, no, I was too. I was like, man, you didn't see Robot Jox back in the day? You got to watch Robot Jox. Tex Conway, clobbering time. Dig Outlaw says, wish I could be there. I love this movie. All the times I saw it. You're more than welcome to pop in, my friend. If you have time and you want to pop in, you're more than welcome to. If not, no worries.
While Pops is away, Adega shall play.
That's right. So Achilles and Alexander are going to meet and fight. This is when the movie obviously gets, this is the whole point. We want to see robots. We want to see, robots kicking the crap out of each other. They shoot missiles. They fire guns. They have lasers. The laser scenes blew me away when I was a kid. That was like, I was like, holy crap, they've got like laser lightsabers. They've got red and green lasers that they're using.
Well, let's not forget the other element of this whole movie going is that it's also loosely the Iliad. I mean, you have your main character's named Apollo.
You mean Achilles?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Achilles. Yes.
Yes.
I don't know. He flew into space. I don't know. I don't know where that came from, but yeah,
no, the names are right. The names are right. Yeah, no, absolutely. You got your names right. Alexander and Achilles.
Oh yeah. I mean, his robot winds up getting shot in the foot.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's towards the end of the movie. In the battle at the end of the movie. No, you're absolutely right. He gets hit and he gets his leg blown off the ankle.
Which is why they have to. I believe that they have to go and do the tank mode.
Yes, I think he goes into space first, doesn't he? No, that's why his foot gets blown off. He shoots it with a missile while they're in space.
Yeah, and then they come back down right back to the same the same arena they started at.
A Dig Outlaws got it right. Achilles, I kill you. What did you think about Alexander and just his I'm Russian, I must break you, American. I'm going to drink vodka straight. I'm going to do straight shots of vodka, and I will kill you. This is like your blood.
You curdle my, and you make my drink taste like blood.
You curdle my drink, make it taste like blood.
Oh my god! Like it. I mean, it's the late '80s. It's like so of the time. You got to have you got to have the bad Russian. You cannot not do it.
No, you can't. You absolutely can't. So in the first match, they're fighting. There's stands. When I watched this, because I made Eris watch this. She said, "Why are there people in stands?" And I said, "Because it's like a title fight." everybody wants to be there live to see what happens. They don't want to watch it on, a TV. They want to be there and experience it. And she said, but can't they get hurt? And I said, well, it's kind of shielded. The stands are kind of shielded, so they don't. Then in the middle of this fight, Achilles knocks down Alexander. And when Alexander gets knocked down, he holds his hand out and the mech's arm goes out and then the fist shoots out of the arm. And it's a rocket punch. So he's got a rocket on the end of his fist that shoots out and hits Achilles' robot. And Achilles gets knocked into the stands and he lands on the people watching. He lands on the audience. His mech hits the stands, crashes through the stands.
Because we've got to make sure that everyone knows he's the big hero. Because, of course, our hero is going to try to save the day and save all these people.
And that's exactly what happens. He tries to save all these people. His mech gets knocked down. It lands on the audience and kills a whole bunch of people. And he's done after this. He's done. This is like, shortly after, you're probably, 30 minutes into the movie? And he's like, I'm done. I'm not fighting anymore. And they can't make him fight anymore. He's been in 10 matches. He's like, I know my contract. And he says something really interesting. And it's the little things like this that make you want to know more about what's happening. He says, I may not be able to read, but I know what's in my contract.
Yeah, there's sort of a pretty dystopian sort of environment to it. It's there, but it's just kind of under the hood.
And I believe Pat S brought it up earlier about the masks. Pat S, if you did, or if it was somebody else, why is everybody wearing masks? They've got them packed into these cities. And that's another thing they don't explain completely. These cities, the cities that are left are the ones that weren't bombed into the Stone Age with nuclear weapons. There was a nuclear war. And they stopped just short of blowing up the whole planet. And now they're fighting for what resources are left that they can have. This is now survival of the fittest.
Which is why they went and outlawed war.
Yes. Exactly, which is why they outlawed war, because they were like, if we keep this up, we're going to kill everyone and we're going to have nothing. So let's duke it out, mano a mano, for what's left of the planet. So where there are people, they are all, compacted into these cities. They show a scene in the movie where this woman's cooking dinner. And it's like a pot. This is a meal for 6 people. It's a pot of beans with 1 hot dog in it. And the wife is like, we've got real meat tonight. And she opens up the pot and there's a hot dog in the pot. And you're like, oh yeah, that's great. And you can tell Achilles eats better than that. Because he looks at it and he's like, Why? Because he's the gladiator. He gets whatever he wants. He gets the finest meals. He gets a nice place to live. He gets a floating car. It's another thing that I was like, holy shit, they've got flying cars. They try and do that too in this movie. And half the time you don't see below him because, it's the magic of Hollywood, B movies.
Oh, wait, I found it.
What did you find?
I found the hot dog.
A hot dog right there, ladies and gentlemen. The infamous hot dog. This is, oh my God, it's such a treat. We're having real meat tonight. Does that look appetizing to you?
It's mostly beans, and if you're lucky, you might taste a little bit of that hot dog in there.
And this is for a family, what was it, 6?
Right,
Family
6.
of 6.
Yep, so really 7 people.
Yeah, because you got to throw Achilles in there too. But he's like, no, I couldn't, because he's going to go off and have steak that night.
I mean, even like his brother there. It's like it's a two bedroom house apartment for these 6 people.
Yeah,
And they're only afforded that because they're giving because they're having all the kids because they're repopulating.
yep. And that's the whole thing. More kids you have, better off you are, because we need to repopulate the species, because we killed half the population in the nuclear war. Project Cameron says the dystopian aspect was a big repeating factor in the Full Moon productions. Much as this had to do with the locations that were available to them, Nemesis, Trancers, etc., used the same places. This movie killed Puppet Wars. I don't know if anybody out there remembers the Puppet Master series. There was this huge production they were working on, which was going to be all the returning of all the puppets from Puppet Master, Dolls, the Dolls franchise. There was a bunch of stuff they were going to do from the horror franchises and get them all into a movie called Puppet Wars. That movie was canceled because of this movie.
What was that? Why it was? Because like
Yeah.
I knew I knew those movies were supposed to come out, but then something happened that prevented them from doing it.
It was this. He told them, that we can't make this movie. There's no way. Charles Band said there's no way we could do it. It's too expensive. And then he saw that opening clip of Achilles fighting Hercules, or not Achilles, Alexander fighting Hercules and killing him, and then turned around and said, we'll do it. And that bankrupted Empire Pictures and took out Full Moon. Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys was the alternative after Robot Jox delay. Yeah.
Now, what do you think? Was it worth it though? Ultimately,
I would have loved to see more Puppet Master stuff at the time. We've got more Puppet Master stuff now, so we at least got that. But it killed a lot of other series. All of this is B movie. This is a B movie at the end of the day. You're watching a B movie, even if it feels like they went above that, and in a way they did, just with the robot fights, which you get at the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. You get some little clips. It's a clip show in the middle. So for the most part, you're watching this drama unfold of, is this guy going to stand up and fight, or is he going to let the next generation take over? And the next generation is test tube children.
what do they call them? Tubies?
Yeah, they call them tubies. Damn tubies. That's what Tex Conway calls them. Damn tuby. Tuby don't know nothing. Stupid tuby. So they've got these test tube kids that have only been alive for a couple of years. They've been quote training to be the next Robot Jox, but they are a failure. They are a failure.
They're certainly not emotionally developed.
No,
And it's like the only way you could tell that they are a Tubi is they have a ponytail.
Yeah, they've got like a little, and it's not even like a real ponytail. It's like half of a rat tail.
It curls up like it's a stinger, like off a scorpion.
So, and they're very disappointing. But the Russians have them too. So don't just think, oh, well, of course, America's going to have these test tubies that people make fun of. No, the Russians have them too. And it's all going to be a big mistake. So you've got this whole next generation of Robot Jox that are coming in to take the place of the old ones that kick ass, take names, chew bubblegum, and don't take any shit, that are going to be a big failure because none of them operate correctly.
So because Achilles is stepping down and walking away from the fight, well, now we've got the next 2B to come in. And they have a whole sequence where they like have them all competing to try to get to be the one who gets to be the pilot.
Yeah, it's almost like Danger Room. They don't call it that. They call it like the Rumble Room or something.
The devil something.
So I would have much rather just call it the Danger Room. Who cares if the X-Men have it or not? You're not going to get. It's not exactly the same thing. But so they have to go through this terrible room to try and be the next Robot Jock because Achilles doesn't want to play. Achilles is like, no, I did my 10. I'm done. Meanwhile, Alexander's like, you come, I kill you when the fight not over yet. And he almost makes it. I don't know about you. I don't know how you feel about this. Nothing against Gary Graham. Gary Graham's great. He does a great job. There's nothing wrong with his acting. There's nothing wrong with his intensity. But Alexander's that guy you love to hate. He's that like, I am Russian. I'm superior. He's like an evil Chekhov. We invented it first.
There was I guess at some point they were apparently talking about wanting to have Jean-Claude Van Damme playing this character of Achilles. And it's just like it would have only made it better, I think, if you could have gotten Jean-Claude Van Damme to play Achilles.
Yeah, no, I think that would have been great. I really like the guy who plays him now. Jean-Claude Van Damme could have brought another level to this movie, and he could have been a great villain. Jean-Claude Van Damme plays a great villain. I like his villains more than I like his good guys, appearances. I thought he's. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. But this is also like this is the end of the 80s. We're still at the like action hero phase. Like he would have brought some more people in. This would have maybe doubled its box office. It might have actually been able to make like $2 million. No, he can't shake the. Don't have him shake it. Have him use it.
You just call him like French Canadian or something. And say it's good enough.
Who cares? He can, I'm going to kick your ass. Okay, Russian. He's Russian. Who cares? You don't have to change his accent at all. He doesn't have to. Hell, the guy who plays Alexander is shitty at speaking Russian. I drink your blood. You're not Scandinavian or Transylvanian or any of the Navians. You're Russian. I'm going to drink your blood. Double the Van damage. Yeah, and you could have a robot that looks like Van Damme.
Oh, you could have like Van Damme fighting a robot Van Damme. You just paint him silver. And the robot Van Damme is piloting a giant robot.
Yeah. A Van Damme flying in a Van Damme robot. Yes.
This summer, Jean-Claude Van Damme goes to space.
Oh yeah, and you see the space scene where they're flying. Yeah. So let's talk about the we're going through the whole story here. Let's take about a minute and talk about the stop motion for this movie.
Right. This is a fun bit of stop motion. I mean, it's always fun to see it's always fun to see the stop motion stuff, but it's actually some pretty good stuff in this.
No, they did. The like I said earlier, the lasers looked great. The movement looked great. So they're in these cockpits where they're like clamped. It's almost like a clamp that goes around their waist to where they're standing up and they're moving. So when you see a movie like Pacific Rim and they're sitting there and they're like walking in the cockpit and doing all that, they did it here first. They did it here first, and it's they sit there and they walk. They're in the suits and they walk on this, and then you see the robot doing everything they're doing, and you're like, oh, that's cool. It's like the suit. The suit's got them. The suit, everything the suit does, and what they do with their feet and everything. It's mimicking what they're doing in the cockpit. That's different. That's not something you just like anyone just came up with or copied over. He did his homework. He really did. This is before a long time before like VR caught on.
I mean, yeah, no, it's pretty forward thinking. Like the other thing that comes to mind for doing this sort of thing is one of the Gundam series, G Gundam, has sort of the premise of this movie to it, where like every nation has a giant robot fighting in a giant tournament.
Oh, and they're strapped in like that and they like walk around. I never saw that back in the day. If they weren't a robot, they were always sitting in like a control chair. They might have some joysticks and stuff in there, but I never saw one at that point in time where they were walking in the suits in like a cockpit and not sitting down.
Right. This was like I want to say like a 1994 anime, and it was kind of following the big trend of a lot of martial arts anime, and so Namco basically said, we need to do something martial arts, do that with Gundam. And so this is the series that has like the Gundam series for has a Gundam for every single nation. This is where you get the infamous Tequila Gundam from Mexico.
The Tequila Gundam.
Which I think it's been shown to, Mexican Iron Man about 1,000 times now.
So this movie came out in April of 1990. It was delayed. Originally, it was supposed to come out in 89. Came out in April of 1990. Or it was supposed to, and then it got delayed again and released in November of 90. It grossed $464,000 in 333 theaters in the United States, averaging $1,394 per theater. It was gone within days. It was there. There was no hype. There was no television. There was no commercials. There was nothing. Almost no promotional materials at all. And it was gone within like a couple of weeks, and that was it. It was there, and then it was gone. But then it comes out on VHS.
And like kind of just kind of pulling up the list here of everything that came out like right around then. Like the week before was Home Alone, Rocky V, Stephen King's It was apparently, I don't know why that's on this list. So that would have been TV, but Dances with Wolves, Predator 2. Actually, Predator 2 was like the same day it came out.
And one of the reasons why this got some bad reviews, if I'm not mistaken, I might have to look it up. It was criticized because of the US and USSR clash. They said it was tired, it was boring writing, that it was basically a trope at that point. But then you've got such love for Rocky IV. Rocky IV has the exact same premise. US versus USSR. Let's see who's better.
I gotta look this up. Let's see. Rocky IV was 85, so it's about a good 5 years before this. So it's probably ultimately just like a matter of.
I thought you said Rocky IV came out the same day this one.
No, Rocky V.
All right.
Yeah, we're getting a little mixed up here.
With Tommy Gunn, Rocky V didn't do jack shit. Rocky V was horrible. I think that's like the worst Rocky movie there with
Well, I
Tommy
mean,
Dunn.
it's right in there. It's within a good little groove of movies because this is November. We're starting to get right around Thanksgiving. Yeah, I can see putting all this stuff out there because then we also got Edward Scissorhands after that, Kindergarten Cop, Godfather Part 3, because that's also December.
Matt says, I think Robot Jox was 10 times better than Pacific Rim.
Oh,
I'd say it's 10 times better than the sequel. I really like the original Pacific Rim. The sequel,
Pacific Rim
not so much.
Pacific Rim was like one of the first movies I got to go see in IMAX. So that's like one of those like first like big like modern cinema experiences. More or less.
I really wish I'd had seen it in IMAX. I didn't have the opportunity to. I just saw it in theater. I would love to see Robot Jox in IMAX.
Right? Like, and I think at the end of the day, this is one I'd probably rather go back to more, Robot Jox, because it's fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's fun. It's one of those fun movies.
As great as Pacific Rim is, it's not trying to sit here and make itself out to be more than like about some big thing about like, oh, we're here to like save all of humanity from some external force. It's like it is kind of it's in that vein, but it doesn't feel quite as scaled up. The premise isn't as ridiculous.
Project Cambrian says, Jox being the second stop motion giant robot thing they made, I think the story was wary ahead of their capabilities to pull it off. If made today with the less expensive CGI, talent would make it awesome.
Yeah, no, today that movie would be called Transmorphers.
They actually made a movie called Transmorphers.
They made a sequel.
Oh, no. I wanted a sequel to this. We were told that Robot Wars was going to be the sequel to Robot Jox, and Robot Wars obviously was not the sequel. They used the same kind of designs and stuff, but it wasn't anything near what it should have been.
And I think there were a couple of movies that went and like called themselves Robot Jox 2 or were sold as Robot Jox 2. So you kind of have a low-key trilogy.
Yeah, there was a movie called Crash and Burn. Did you ever hear that?
Outside of looking up information for this movie, I had not, but like I gotta go dig it up because the little bits of stop motion I saw looked pretty cool.
So same creator, same guy. Made a movie called Crash and Burn. And this was supposed to be there's even a robot in it, a giant robot. It's horrible. It's one of the worst movies you're ever going to see. They wanted to call it Robot Jox 2, and in Europe they called it Robot Jox 2. It has since changed to just Crash and Burn. When it came to DVD, they just officially named it Crash and Burn. But for the VHS release in Europe, they called it Robot Jox 2. There's nothing besides Charles Band that has anything to do with the original Robot Jox movie.
So like all I'm saying is like if I ever get a chance to make a movie, I'm just gonna call it Robot Jox 2.
Why not?
Yeah, I'll make 5 movies. I'll call them all Robot Jox 2.
Yeah, no robot action until the last 10 minutes. It's because they couldn't afford it. Pat S says, the Russian should have said, hey, woman, listen here. Since your old man ain't got no heart, maybe you like to see a real man, but you stay up late every night dreaming you had a real man. but if it was Jean-Claude Van Damme, they could have done that and pulled it off, and it would have been funny.
Surprisingly, it's got what PG, like a PG-13 or PG rating.
Yes. Are you talking about Robot Jox or?
Robot Jox.
Yes. And originally it didn't. So they cut certain scenes out of the movie to make it PG. And when it went to VHS and went to DVD, obviously all of that was thrown back in the movie. But I think there's a couple of booby shots. Those were taken out of the movie. And there were some edits when it went to theaters.
Yeah, I think it was just like a butt shot.
Maybe, yeah.
There's so much more you could do with this movie that I want to see more, just like these robot designs. Because there's times where it seems like it's not even stop motion. It seems like it's a guy in a suit.
Yeah, it's a guy in a suit.
Oh, did they actually do that?
No.
Oh.
But it looks really good. And if you've seen the Blu-ray comes with some special features. Honestly, guys, if you can get a hold of the Blu-ray, get the Blu-ray of how they did the robots. And these robots are about half the size of a human being. They're huge. If I could like find out who the hell, where the hell I could get one of these, like just made, I'd pay whatever just to have them made. I'd love to have Achilles' robot or Alexander's robot up on my wall. And I know they came out with the four-legged one that's at the end, Alexander's Super Mech. There is a statue version of that. I've never been able to find one for myself. Ooh. They're expensive. They cost a lot of money. You don't want to pay them. You want to pay the exorbitant amount of money you're going to pay on eBay to try and get one.
That's exactly where I'm going right now to see if I can even dig this thing up.
Imagine if they finally made a sequel where the villain is played by Tim Curry and he pilots a giant robot, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Okay. I could live with that.
We've got to get a minimum of like 3 laughs out of Tim Curry. Yeah.
Yes. Project Cambrian says it's the frame rate they filmed the stop motion at for the scale of the mech armature models allowed it to be smoother as a result.
Oh, I gotta give him credit for that. Like, I almost wonder, like, if that in turn is going to force them to have to do the extra work, make extra frames to then have to smooth that out. But like, it's seriously a commendable like effort they did, because it like I legitimately thought that there was an actor in a suit used.
It's that good. They did that. This is like peak stop motion. You're getting to your peak of what's possible. Now, could they have smoothed it out even more and touched it up and done all kinds of things today? Yes, but I'm talking about just stop motion. If we're talking
also like, just because like you could add in more frames and sort of flesh things out, like doesn't mean you should. Like you've seen where they go in the like try going like and turn the stop motion from Kong to like 60 frames a second to like try to like make it look even smoother, and it doesn't look right.
No, it looks like it's being manipulated, which you don't want.
No.
You want that movement, and it's the movement, you know. Anytime I think about that movement, I immediately play that damn song in my head that's in this movie that's like dun 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 dun, because two gladiator mechs walking into battle, that's immediately what I think of because of this damn movie.
Apparently, the Paris Philharmonic Orchestra were the ones that performed it, which comes across to really make the movie pop.
It does. It does. It absolutely does. They filmed a lot of this in Rome in 87. Then after that, they started working on the special effects, and Rob Cobb was brought in to help design the robots. And they did all that in San Bernardino, California. And it's great. They did an absolutely wonderful job. Why do you think they can't do something like this today? Because I mean, this is all determination and imagination to work with something like this and create that. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, let's be real. Like, a lot of this would be done just in just like some CG. They would have made a CG robot fight, and it would have been like, it would have taken like half the time, half the effort, half the actual initiative to build this thing up. Like, I mean, we would have sadly seen a lot more sacrifices for the sake of ease. It's like, it's this. There are shortcuts they could take that it would not result in as solid a movie as this little underrated gem is.
Badass says there's an Achilles on Pinterest. Looks like a complete model. Dude, send it to me. If you've got it, Pat, send it to me.
I gotta see this.
Let me look at it. Because believe me, I would love one. Even if it's in like squat tank mode, I'd still do it. So no, I can't. I'd love to see it. So let's see what we got left. Eventually, Achilles says, "You know what? I'll fight. Screw the little tubies. I don't want any little tubies coming in and finishing my job." Fighting Alexander, so he agrees to fight. And one of the tubies, the female one, the only female on the team. And remember, these are clones. They're like test tube clones. So they've got. Go ahead.
I'll say the lady who runs the thing tries to like get their DNA of Achilles and Tex.
Yeah, and Tex like, you ain't turning me into no tubie.
Yeah, and Achilles is like, I'd rather do it the old-fashioned way. but it's ultimately because he winds up seeing on TV where they're gonna have Athena play getting to be the pilot. It's finally the last straw that gets him to go over the edge to do it. It's like, I can't let her go in. I've got to go and man up and go back in for one last fight.
Okay, now we've got it. Restored robot jock Achilles. Yeah. I mean, how much do they want for it? Look at that. Looks mean.
Gotta present it.
Oh, did I not? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why that happened.
Oh. Oh, by the way, which it's like even. Oh wait, never mind. Yeah, it's like they're calling it Achilles. He winds up getting his leg blown off. It's right there. No way.
Yeah, that's from them actually working on it.
That's a big size mech.
Yeah, like I said, it's about half the size of a human being. at all that detail, though. Robot Jox, a Matsumoto 14. Oh, we've got some Mech Warrior stuff in there.
I mean, I'm not gonna complain about looking at an Atlas.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you so much, my friend. I'd take it. I'd buy it. It doesn't look like it's for sale, but I'd buy one. I'd definitely buy one. Yeah, take my money. That's right.
So there is that whole other B plot about the leaker that was in the movie.
Indeed. So Matsumoto figures out that Tex in his last fight had this glorious, crazy win. So Tex is in an old model that used to have tank treads. It didn't have legs. And it was fighting the first bipedal mech that had legs, which was Russia's. And he gets lucky and hits it with a laser right in this vulnerable spot. Matsumoto figures out it wasn't vulnerable. He knew exactly where to hit it. He targeted it. He did it purposefully. And he confronts him, and Tex kills him. He shoots him. Matsumoto, being the technical genius that he is, was uploading that video at the time he was taking it into the mech, into the robot. So that when he went to play, when Achilles goes to play his update on the new weapons for the mech, it would play that, and everybody would find out that, guess what? Tex Conway is the mole, which was surprising considering how like pro-America he was and how we're going to kick them Ruskies' ass and America, woo, America.
It's like it's the most obvious spy there is. It's like he's so obviously like pro-America, like he even got him wearing a cowboy hat and doing oh, I'm a Texas man, come get you. That like you would never think to suspect him.
No, he's a man's man too. When they're like, would you please give us supplies so we can make more tubies? He's like, why don't we just skip this, darling, and go to the direct deposit? It's not something you see coming. You really don't. So they did a really good job of hiding that.
And then when he gets found out, he goes and just jumps out of the building and, offs himself.
Yeah, he just jumps out of the window. Oh, well, damn, I got caught, didn't I? Woo-wee, out the window. Because he doesn't want to get caught. But it's ruined. Everything he wanted was ruined. He wanted to be the first. I'm going to be the guy who lives. And just so I can make sure I live and I get through my 10th fight, and I'm the only one that's ever done that, I'm going to sell out and give them information. I don't know if you were looking at it like that, if you were like, okay, I can either go down fighting or I can sell out and keep living. He sold out. He died on his knees. Anyway, the big fight is going to happen, and the female the genetic tube baby chick, she knocks out Achilles and steals his shit and goes and tries to hightail it to the robot. And as she's entering the cockpit of the robot, one of the Crash and Burn commander, one of his techs, smacks her on the ass. And she's like, and he's like, holy shit, you ain't Achilles. And she starts kicking the shit out of everybody and takes control of the robot, goes out on the field and gets her ass handed to her by Alexander, who is now in a 4-legged giant monster mech. So it's like a spider mech. They were not expecting that. So the Russians have upgraded into this bigger mech. She gets the crap kicked out of her. And when Alexander realizes, holy shit, that's not Achilles in the cockpit, it's a woman, he holds off and lets Achilles get in the robot and gets ready to fight and have a knockdown drag out without the ref's permission. So the referees try and come in and tell Alexander what to do, and he blows him up because he just wants to fight Achilles. And even after he finds out, hey, guess what? You screwed up. They won. He's still going to fight Achilles because that's all he cares about, is taking out Achilles and finding out who the best is. They're the only two left. They're the only two jocks left. All that's left is the 2B Gen jocks. He doesn't care about those.
No, they real people as far as he's concerned. It's like, no, this is the man who's gone. He's gone 9 fights. This man is proven to be the best of the best. Achilles is the only enemy left. No one else will compare.
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, no. It's just that, like, to even go into it, that's how he's not like genetically engineered to be better. It's like, no, he earned that on his own. He came up. He was the best just because he fought the hardest. And a lot of you just kind of read into it from, from things unsaid. Just like, why else would he not want to fight the 2B?
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He don't want to. And it's disgusting to him. He's like, I don't want to fight a 2B. And that's right. These guys are like superheroes. These guys are the roughneck superheroes. And that's the key in when they're talking to Achilles. And Achilles says, I might not know how to read, but I sure as shit know what's in my contract. It gets you the idea that these guys were taken as children and they were taught how to do this. And they spent years perfecting what they do. These are the best of the best. And the 2Bs are only a couple years old and they think they know everything, which is why Homegirl gets in the robot and thinks she has any kind of chance against Alexander. She just wants her shot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, she hasn't fought yet.
She climbed a jungle gym.
Yeah. Yeah, the danger room jungle gym is what she climbed. It'd be like Jubilee saying, I'm better than Wolverine just because I survived level 1 of the danger room.
It's like, no.
She kind of looked like Jubilee too.
And I mean, also like, oh yeah, you're right. Alexander is disgusted that Achilles would try to back out of the fight like he did. Is that I thought you were mad enough.
Yeah, apparently you're afraid. You're fear. I drink it like blood.
So my other favorite line from him was like, I have already killed you up here.
Yeah. No, and that's exactly what. Yeah, I've already killed you up here. Achilles, I kill you. I will kill you. Alexander really. I mean, like I said again, nothing against Gary Graham, but Paul Koslow really kicks ass and takes names as Alexander. He really does. It makes you like he's the villain you like to hate, and it completely overpowers any other idiot in the movie. Like Sargon, I'm sorry, but Sargon is not Sargon. Sargon's just a 2B. Just call him what he is, a 2B.
The first time I saw this, I thought that was Cole Meany playing playing Alexander. I thought that was O'Brien.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that. Yeah. Yeah. So let me look real quick. He's played a couple of things. I'm trying to go back to
Kind of back to that 80s era.
Yeah, the 80s and the 90s. So let's see. He was in Extra to The Second Encounter, Loose Cannons, Robot Jocks, A Night in the Life of Jimmy Reardon, The Annihilators. It's all B movie. The Glitter Dome. He was in Kenny Rogers. At least that's kind of something. Heaven's Gate. A movie I can't say the name of because it's that Love and Bullets, Tomorrow Never Comes, The Ransom, Voyage of the Damned, Rooster Cogburn, Drowning Pool, Bootleggers, Laughing Policeman, Stone Killer, Cleopatra, Lolly Madonna, Daughters of Joshua Cave, Joe Kidd, Welcome Home, Soldier Boys, The Birdman, The Omega Man, Scandalous John, Vanishing Point. Much else.
He did a lot of TV in the 70s too.
He did a lot of TV.
He was on Mission Impossible.
He was on The Flash in 1990 in the episode Sins of the Father. Highwayman, Falcon Crest, MacGyver, Highway to Heaven, Misfits of Science, Crazy Like a Fox, The Hitchhiker, TJ Hooker, Dukes of Hazzard, Knight Rider. What the hell he played in Knight Rider? Lyle Austin in The Ice Bandits. I have no idea.
He was in Stargate.
Thunder. Was he in Stargate?
SG-1.
Oh, no shit. Serpent's Venom, Season 4, Episode 14. He played Tarok. I will have to go back and watch that episode of Stargate.
Which, by the way, let me pull up this like this headshot of him because it is a classy one.
Oh heck yeah! Oh yeah, I saw that. Look at that! What a pimp! He's like, yeah, look at me, Achilles. I drink your blood. Was he the marshal in Con Air? No, he wasn't in Con Air. He's not in anything. I think he passed. He's not in anything after like 2004.
We are already dead. We are robot jocks.
Died in 2019 from pancreatic cancer.
Mm. So at the end of the day, what do you rank this film? Because this is
on a B movie scale. Okay, if we're talking B movies with other B movies, this is the A+10 of B movies. I think this is great for what it is. It's wonderful. There's nothing else that comes close, in my opinion, for the type of movie that it is and the budget and everything like that. As far as everything else goes, probably a 7.5. It's fun. I watch it probably once a year. I wouldn't own the Blu-ray if I wasn't going to watch it, once or twice a year. I just wouldn't care. But as soon as I saw the Blu-ray, I had to get it. B scale, 4 out of 5. Project Cameron says.
Ooh. All right. Yeah, on that B scale, this is definitely like an 8 out of 10. Like it feels like sort of the second act could use a little bit of a punch up to really help bring it up. But as far as movies go, it's like a 5.5, 6. Like those stop motion sequences and when Alexander are definitely the highlights of this movie, but I feel like sort of that lead actress, Anne Marie Johnson playing Athena, she kind of blends into the background, and at some points in the movie, for like the fight sequences with her, like you can tell it's like a male stunt guy like replacing her.
Yeah, she's not that beautiful, bombastic, guns a-blazing chick that you would expect in an 80s, 90s movie.
Like you don't exactly want to have like a glass figurine of some little woman that looks like she's gonna break.
She tiny too. She is a small woman. I don't know if they didn't do the camera angles right on her, but she's a short little woman. Project Cambrian says Nemesis, same rating for me. Full Moon was always on the edge of breaking out and upwards, but never quite having a hit to carry them up upon. I would agree with that. And this is as close as they got.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that this was sort of the film they went out on.
So they did resurrect. They did resurrect. But it took them a little while, and they had to kind of navigate that. How do we get back to where we were? So, and then it's never going to be with streaming and the way everything is now. Anything that comes out like that is just going to get thrown on a streaming service, and some people might watch it, some people might not, but it would be largely forgotten because of that. That's a horrible part about all of this, is that the direct to video movies we used to love, like this, Puppet Master, those kinds of movies, are largely being ignored because they just go right to a streaming service and it gets thrown in with everything else. And sometimes you don't even know it's there. You have no idea what the hell is Puppet Master. What the hell is that? You ever heard of that? Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I know you have, but
Oh. They only took up like 2 or 3 like entire like shelves in the little horror movie section back in the VHS days. So you go back over there, you're like, oh, let's see a scary movie, and it's like you can kind of like, it's kind of hard to ignore them when there's like 30 of them.
yeah. And you'd rent all of them. At least that's what I did. If I was going to have a Puppet Master weekend, I just rent all of them and watch them all front to back. All the ones I could get. Just give me all of them. We'll watch all of them. But that was VHS. Those were VHS days. Now, it's not like that anymore. I'm just afraid with the way streaming services are and how B movies don't get a chance. Stuff like this is just going to sit there and be largely ignored. And some of that for good reason, like Cocaine Shark, should be absolutely ignored and never watched ever again.
Yeah, I could probably go by. I could probably stand to not see that movie ever again. Although then again, this other shark movie I was talking about earlier, this looks like this could be something. Apparently, this is like on some Japanese Kickstarter site, so they're like in the process of raising funds for it, and they've like gotten 1,000% of what they actually needed to make the movie.
Project Cambrian says there's a shot again for them now, but it's basically back at the start. It's all here on Tubi. I have it on my screen right now. Killer Bong. No wonder it's taken so long. The Shrunken Heads. There's so many of the old, what were the vampire movies called? Bloodstone, or it was the Bloodstone, something Bloodstone.
Didn't they also do Laser Blast?
Yes, I think so. Badass. Loki's mom signed that paper at Blockbuster so he could rent rated R movies by himself. Didn't have to back then. Didn't have to. So I pretty much walked into Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, wherever it was, and I just got what I wanted and left. They were dollar movies. No one cared. No one cared back then. You could walk in, get $6 movies. You could get 6 Puppet Master movies for $6. Walk out and you had them for a whole week. So no one cared. Subspecies. Thank you. Project Cambrian. Yes. Subspecies. The full moon movies were great. I just feel like there's so much that's getting ignored because of streaming. Everybody's got to have that, oh, what's next? What's hot? What's everybody loved from back in the day? And they're just going to miss. There's going to be some gold out there that gets missed and forgotten, and you'll never see it again because it never made it to physical media. What do you think, Ironcaster, before we check out of here and get out of here? What do you think about these B movies that some people might never see?
I think they're going to kind of fall into a category of movies that you sort of stumble on, and if you can get the right sort of, or if the platform can have the right still image or right publicity photo, they might be able to get those little guilty pleasure watches where someone's like, I gotta see this. But unfortunately, I feel like it's never going to be quite that golden age that we used to have. Like, sadly, it feels like those days are gone.
You think there's any way they can come back?
Well, I mean, at least in the days of the video stores, like you could have just the whole shelf full, whereas everyone now is so in their own little walled gardens for not only the streaming platforms, but us as viewers. We can go to completely different streamers where they may be very ancillary into their own products, or they might be like a Tubi or Pluto TV where you can just kind of have a channel full of who knows what, all the crap you can just shovel into a playlist. I think it's going to be a matter of ultimately who wins the streaming wars is going to be the ones to ultimately decide whether or not these little B movies can even continue forward. I want to see more stuff like this. I want to see them go back to making movies like this that just, it sounded fun, so we went and made it.
Pat S says Walmart, the new video store. I can't find any full moon movies at Walmart, unfortunately. I kind of got to order them through them. Full moon. You got to go through them and get your 2 long box sets like I've got, and the full moon collection sets that are out there. You kind of got to go through them and their own production company to get the movies.
Well, I think it's to be more a place for sort of these little boutique video sites. You know, guys like Mill Creek, guys like Shout Factory. They're the ones who are going to really keep this going. And I think if they can get some of if they can take some of the ones that sold particularly well on their sites, and then kind of use that to try to push those into the Walmarts, into the Targets, we might be able to see them, turn around and do a little bit more. Who knows? Maybe that box set of the Alf show might wind up in a Walmart somewhere.
I think Project Cambrian is gonna nail us on the way out here with this low budget stuff like this lived and died on the former distribution model and cult fan word of mouth. Streaming wars reduced it all to word of mouth. And it's not getting any love that way. I mean, think about this. If you are Full Moon and you spend money on this movie and you get a deal from Netflix that pretty much all it does is pay for the movie, you've got to wait until that deal's done to either go somewhere else and get paid again, if anybody even wants to have it, or get paid a lot less to keep it on Netflix. Whereas back in the day, you could have had a lot of people buy a copy of Puppet Master. You could have people buying it off of store shelves, and you could have made your money back that way. You could have made enough money to do another one and another one and another one that way, which they did. Word of mouth, and people wanting to see what happened next. They'd either buy it or they rent it. And they rented it a lot. But otherwise, they wouldn't have kept them in the store. I watched Hollywood and Blockbuster throw tons of stuff away. They just threw it away. If they couldn't resell it after it had been rented, they just threw it away. Whereas movies like this always stayed on those back shelves. And if someone took off with one, they ordered another one. Why? Because they would continue to be rented out. It wasn't the summer hit blockbuster that after 2 months of it being on the shelf went to the dollar wall and then one copy sat there forever and never got rented. So
That was the other thing with especially with the VHS era. Those things had it seems like they had a shorter shelf life to them because you could wear and tear through the magnetic tape.
Yep. And if you had a dirty player, you could kill a VHS tape running it through a dirty player. You kept that shit clean. You used your VHS tape cleaners every couple of months, and you cleaned out your drive and all that. You didn't let it get ruined. You had to take care of them. And when DVD players broke, they just broke.
Mm-hmm. There's no repairing it.
So. Any last words, Ironcaster? Anything you want to throw out there? Anything you want to promote? Now's the time.
Okay, so coming up in about an hour, in fact, I'll be on over with T-shirt Historian for our get to be our little Tuesday show, where we will be sitting down with the infamous YouTube channel Neckbeardia to discuss their upcoming Kickstarter for a bunch of paper minis for tabletop games. So that's something I've been looking forward to. I have been a huge fan of Neckbeardia for a few years now, and getting to sit down and talk with him has been something I've been looking forward to. So let me just go ahead and get the link to that, and I will drop that in the chat.
So no, for me, no. I know Daryl's going to be working late tonight, so no Backtube, no Two Towers stuff. We are going to finish that, though. Trust us. It's been crazy. Either I've been dealing with something for the wedding next month, or he's been dealing with extra work stuff and having to work late. So we both apologize that we have not continued to do that on a regular basis, but it has been both of us, not just one of us. So it's like anytime I'm available, he's not. Anytime he's available, I've been doing extra work for the wedding stuff. So Ironcaster has thrown his link in tonight with Neckbeardia. I can't send anybody over there because I don't have Pops' stuff on YouTube, but I will highlight it until we get out of here. Thank you so much, Ironcaster, for being here and doing this with me. I know it was unexpected, Pops not being here. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for hanging out with us and chilling with us. I think I know how to do the Bob Ross thing. I think so.
Oh, how about next week? Real quick.
Oh shit! What are we doing next week?
I believe next week we are sitting down and we are watching a little movie called Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Hell Comes to Frogtown on the 26th. So next week, guys, Rowdy Roddy Piper in Hell Comes to Frogtown. I haven't watched this in years. This was the very first VHS tape I bought after I got my first job. And it was like $100. And I spent almost my whole paycheck just to get this movie. because I went to Blockbuster and Hollywood and other places, and they said it is out of print. You cannot get it. And Blockbuster finally said, we can order it for you, but you have to pay in advance, and it's going to be I think it was like $111. And I said, I've got cash. I'll pay for it. Let's see here. We've got corn pops.
Let's go some corn pops. Let's get a snack.
Here we go. Okay, guys, we're getting out of here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We'll send you out with some Bob Ross. Take care and have a great one. Hopefully, Pops will be back next week. Have a great one, everybody.
Take care.
Bob Ross, all I do is chill. My life is a thrill, for real, Bob Ross. I be too calm for the drama. You don't wanna cause a problem, I'll solve it, Bob Ross.